dead, she looks pretty hot. If I was a girl, I'd want to be her.
We need to find her and identify her.
We find out where she's been, we find out where she's gone.
Not all identity crime is financially motivated.
She wants revenge.
Identity, Monday at 9 on ITV1 and ITV1 HD. And if you missed episode 1, watch it now on ITV Player.
A lot can happen across 10,000 miles of coastline. A seaside rescue in Cumbria is the challenge facing the coastline cops in an hour. Now on ITV4 with highlights of Stage 3, it's Tour de France 2010.
Halfords, at the heart of the action.
Cobblestones, to us, they mean brass bands and brown bread, lazy visual shorthand for the generic north. To the French, they mean something very specific, the hell of the north, or to give it its formal title, Paris-Roubaix, the hardest one-day race in the cycling calendar. Well, today, for one day only, the Tour is going to hell.
It's going to be a very stressful stage for many guys.
All problems on the side of the road.
It can be a very dangerous stage.
Again, this is the chaos that happens. Somebody's gone right off to the side of the road.
Everybody want to be on the front, and that's the problem.
Look how these riders are now trying to find a smooth section of road.
Anything can happen, and everyone's going to be nervous.
That doesn't look good. He's hurt his elbow.
It will be hard, will be difficult, will be stressed.
This is very dramatic.
There's definitely going to be some people to lose time, that's for sure.
They've all been caught out, and look at the split now.
It's really important to start in front, and it will be a really big stress day.
This is a beast and a brute of a piece of cobblestones.
I've got to just stay out of trouble and be safe. I try to do my best. I don't want to think too much.
Well, they look innocent enough, charming in their own way, but these cobbles strike fear into the very hearts of some of even the most experienced riders. It's no wonder Paris-Roubaix is known as the hell of the north. The challenge is to get to the front, find and follow the safest line. Now that could be down here in the gutter or up on the crown of the road, but at high speed, in a peloton of almost 200 professional cyclists, now that could be tricky.
There will be big differences, whatever happens. I mean, it's just going to be caused by crashes, and that's all that's going to cause it. So, and that means everyone's going into it knowing that, which means they're going to be more nervous. And it's in the build-up, in the actual run into the cobbles as well. It might not happen on the cobbles. It could be just a crash like 4Ks before the first cobble section.
Well, that was certainly the case the last time the pavé featured on the race route. In 2004, they reappeared after an absence of 20 years. In the battle to be at the front of the group as the cobbles loomed large, one of the race favourites, Iban Mayo, went down, effectively ending his tour ambitions. Of course, back in the day, cobbles featured in great swathes of the tour route. After all, that's how roads were once built. But however hazardous the riders find this year's 7 sections of pavé, they at least won't have to negotiate tram lines as well. The decision to include cobbles this year is widely recognised as an attempt to level the playing field, so the mountains won't necessarily determine the overall winner. The lighter climbers will suffer most on this terrain.
A rider as me, as Alberto, 60 kilos, it's not going to be easy, an easy day, no? But having a strong team, being in the right position, in the right place, in the right moment, everything can be easily, you know.
Riding cobbles well takes a certain style and also a little bit of a certain build almost to do it really, really well. But I think the most important factor for that stage and getting across them safely will be the position going into the cobbles. That's where the biggest fight is really. It's not the cobbles themselves, it's trying to get that position in the bunch and stay at the front and out of trouble and not go down. So, like a lot of people have said, you won't win the Tour there, but you could certainly lose it.
But Alberto Contador, like all of the main GC contenders, has been doing his homework. He may be renowned for his magic in the mountains, but he knows he has to negotiate the cobbles before he reaches the Alps.
Pues sí, estuve con Marpetegen, ¿no? y la verdad que fue un honor para mí tener un profesor como él, y la verdad que aprendí más sobre el pavé en un día que lo que había aprendido en toda mi vida.
There's no doubt it's the big, powerful riders who best suit this kind of racing. Fabian Cancellara won Paris-Roubaix this year for the second time. He'll be tasked to safely shepherd the Schlecks through the pavé, along with teammate Stuart O'Grady. But with a race of this size, there's no chance to swap bikes for the different terrain. So expect thrills and spills, mechanicals and perhaps a little bit of misery as the world's greatest bike riders tackle Stage 3.
And here's the graphic version of Stage 3, although not as graphic as it's likely to get later. 213 kilometres from Wanze to Aremberg, with 13 kilometres of cobbles spread over 7 separate sections that get progressively more difficult. The first comes after 128 kilometres. The worst, the 5-starred section at Avlouis, just 10 kilometres from the finish. It's the stage for an epic day's racing, as long as the pack agrees to race. Now, a quick roll call at the start this morning revealed 2 overnight withdrawals. Christian van der Velde, leader of the Garmin Transitions team, has broken ribs and is out. His teammate Tyler Farrar has a broken wrist and amazingly is still in the race. The other man out is Milram's Nicky Terpstra, who was one of the many other fallers yesterday. Almost everyone else has bumps, cuts and bruises, but the rest of the field, Andy Schleck included, was on the start in Wanze. Let's take a look at the general classification going into Stage 3. Sylvain Chavanel, yesterday's stage winner, leads ahead of Fabian Cancellara, Tony Martin, David Miller, Lance Armstrong, Geraint Thomas, Alberto Contador and Levi Leipheimer. The gaps remain pretty much the same among the other big names all the way down the standings. Cadel Evans is the best placed of them, 19th at 3 minutes 36. Bradley Wiggins 57th at 3:53 and Andy Schleck 85th at 4 minutes and 6 seconds. Now, there was an early crash before the race had even hit the first section of cobbles. Several riders came down and the worst off of them was AG Deuzer's David Lelay. He had to withdraw, so there were 190 riders heading into that first section of cobbles. They passed off without incident, but on the other side of them, Sky's Simon Gerrans went down. He got back up and onto his bike, but needed treatment from the doctor's car for a very nasty looking cut to his face as he tried to get back in contention. Out front was a 7-man break, including his Sky teammate Steve Cummings. We pick up the action with the race heading towards the second section of cobbles.
Well, this is the sector now of Orléans, 1.2 kilometres to go. It's a long, long section of cobblestones. The flags are here of Luxembourg. The flags are here from almost every nation in the world. It really is very reminiscent of Paris-Roubaix. And look at the crowd that has turned out to welcome the riders. Rider Heyerdahl on the front, powering away, putting pressure on everybody else in this group. But what's more important is what's going to happen behind when the big main field gets there. Cummins is just sitting at the back of the group. He's nice and relaxed in the middle of the cobblestones.
As we look down now, you can see the change shuddering over the Duralia here. But this is Rider Heyerdahl at his very best. Big, strong man from Canada, Paul.
He's an extremely strong rider, but Phil, don't forget, in the back part of his career, he was a very good mountain biker. Flicks across the roads there to find a little bit of soft road to try and get away from the banging of the cobblestones, and he's opening up a gap right over these cobblestones. You've just got to ride as hard as you can. Forget about everybody behind you. It's almost like riding uphill, because if you can't get onto the wheel of the rider in front of you, get blown away. Cummings has seen that, and the gap there has been left by Pavel Brut.
Pavel Brut is having a little problem now. I can quickly tell you that the organisers have imposed a new rule today to stop riders changing bikes to a bike that might have an engine in them. I don't think anybody believes it happening, but they're taking precautions. So they're not allowed to take a bicycle if they have a problem other than from the following team cars behind or from a teammate in the race.
Well, there you can see now, this is how they're going to hit the first section of cobblestones. They may well survive the first section, but they will keep hitting these cobblestone sections every 10 kilometres or so now, and they are extremely long. Team Saxo Bank have decided this is going to be the big day for them. The leading group of 7 are off the cobblestone section number 2, and very shortly they'll be on section number 3, which is in about 2 kilometres time. But the pressure is being dished out here by Saxo Bank, and it's yet to be thrown by Fabian Cancellara, but you can see what the sort of damage is being done at the back, as here Jesus Fernandez, who is a very good climber, is in having a little bit of difficulty.
Well, as we look at the riders here crashing over the cobblestones here, Paul, they do make many adjustments to the bikes. And I can tell you about one product, Physique, you know, they've introduced a handlebar tape and gel. They did it back in 2004, and they placed it underneath the normal tape on the handlebars. And all this provides the dampening and stops the big blisters on the hands as they ride over these cobblestones.
Have a look at the time gap, though, Phil, here with the damage that's being done by Team Saxo Bank. We went into this section of cobbles at about a minute and 30 seconds. All of a sudden, it's 1:11. That is a great team, Team Saxo Bank. They've come out here this afternoon to hand out a little bit of pain. Andreas Kloden is the Saxo Bank rider up at the front there, looking pretty good. And nice to see the British champion, Geraint Thomas, over there on the left, wearing number 39.
And he's sitting on the back wheel there of the Norwegian champion, Thor Hushovd. On the right now as we look, just behind, there's the white jersey of the new British champion, Geraint Thomas, who's riding his second Tour de France, and the first one, of course, for Sky. Lance Armstrong is quite well placed. He snatches a drink there somehow on the course, but there's a load of dust now as the riders get towards the end of this cobble stretch. I have to say, they're riding it nervously. They're very attentive, though, and so far they're getting through without any problems whatsoever. Well, we're heading up towards the borders now, about 2 kilometres from the borders of Belgium with France, and the roads continue over into France, yes. Heyerdahl is a really strong boy here, and look at this, he's made the most of these cobblestones, and if he can open the gap on the cobblestones, we're only 25 miles or so from the finish, then he might well get this stage. That would be an incredible result for Canada.
Well, these guys here are already panicking because they, you know, when a rider like Heyerdahl attacks, you really need to be on the wheel. You really need to be in his slipstream, because then trying to close down the gap is a very tall order. He's around about 1.2 kilometres now, Phil, to go to the next section of cobblestones, which is that section I was just talking about at Rogny. It's only 700 metres long, but look at Pavel Brut. He is a brute because he's nailing back rider Heyerdahl centimetre by centimetre. Oh,
there's been a crash here right through the hedges here.
Yeah, looking down there, I can't see any of the big names involved, but this is at the back end of the main field. The Lampre rider who's gone down there is, in fact, Adriano Malori.
This is Bellotti. Bellotti, there's a sprinter who's gone down for leaky gas, so somebody's got too close to the hedge there. Maybe we can see it here. Oh, it's already happened, and well, Bellotti just saw it too late as he rode into them.
Yeah, this is the back end of the pack, and again, this is why you have to ride at the front end of the main field. The Garmin rider who went down there was Dave Zabriskie.
Yeah.
It certainly hasn't been a great opening start to the Tour de France, Phil. Canego's gone down as well. Not a great start to the Tour for Garmin Transitions. Section number 3, the rider's just starting. The sign across the road there indicating just 700 metres. This is not really a difficult section of cobblestones, I'd have to say, Phil. This is pretty much like a freeway.
Yes, well, they're going to make the most of it, these boys. They're just holding a 64-second advantage in the breakaway. Jens Voigt has got control. That's a very tight bend for the bunch to come round. Our boys have made it okay. They're being led by Roger Klug here.
In about, well, I would say, Phil, they're not too far away from crossing into France, because at 39.5 kilometres to go, they should be crossing the French border.
I think this is the border town, but whether we'll actually see the border post, now there's a question, because these days we virtually just merge and that's about it. You sometimes don't even know till you check the car registration plates. Here's Stuart O'Grady, brings the bunch around that corner now nice and safely. Again, checking out where the Schleck brothers are, because they're the men he's pacing for, trying to guide them a safe course through the cobblestones. O'Grady, an Australian winner, the first one ever of the Paris-Roubaix Classic.
Well, it looks so far as if none of the big heads of state of this race have been caught out by the early sections of cobblestones. They have some respite now, Phil, for around about 10 kilometres. But then after that, the cobblestones are going to get thrown at them every 5 or 6 kilometres. And that's where it's going to start to break. If anyone will crack, it'll be then.
Halfords, at the heart of the action.
Escape to Menorca and save up to £300. Thompson Holidays, built with you in mind.
Pain when moving. Voltarol Pain-Ease tablets provide powerful pain and inflammation relief because its pain-relieving power is concentrated exactly where you need it. Voltarol Pain-Ease tablets relieves pain and helps keep you moving. Chosen by millions worldwide. Voltarol, the joy of movement.
Athlete's foot can make you sensitive about your feet. Lamisil Once, with just one application, penetrates the skin and targets the fungus, working for days to eliminate the cause of athlete's foot. Treat your athlete's foot and free your feet. Lamisil.
What's the first thing you do when you get a tough stain? Wet it? Dab it? Rub it? Or just leave it? Now there's new Ariel XL Gel with Actilift formula, specially designed to lift off dried-in stains better than ever. See? No Ariel ever lifted off dried-in stains better. Excellent job. New Ariel with Actilift. Also available in powders and liquid tabs. Brilliant.
Why, when you switch to us, we'll give you £100.
After 11 months, a message washed ashore. It read,
"Your insurance is due for renewal."
Go compare, go compare. Golly gosh, preserve your dosh at Go Compare. What I always said is to save your readies. Why not visit Go Compare? Go Compare. They get you quotes to save you notes at Go Compare. To save a small pile, take just a short while, and you'll thank your stars that you went to Go Compare. You'll be done by Friday.
People often ask me, how can I improve my game? I tell them the secret is to stay focused. And of course, it's important to have great vision. I need to be able to look down the line, focusing clearly on the target. My advice? Visit Optical Express, Europe's #1 provider of laser eye surgery.
Prices start from only £395 per eye.
It could help your game too.
Call 0800 023 2020 now for a free consultation or for a free information pack.
Discovery 4. Why get a car when you can get a Land Rover?
I know what you're thinking, punk. You gotta ask yourself a question.
Clint Eastwood season.
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Starts Saturday with Coogan's Bluff, 11:10, ITV4.
Halfords, at the heart of the action.
It's only 27 kilometres to go, although the roads ahead now are pretty bad on and off, all the way down to the last 10 kilometres from home.
Watch out for this, because this is Fabian Cancellara riding on the middle of the cobbles, and now you can see riders leaping left and right, trying to find a little bit of a smooth piece of road. Now it's Cervelo test team taking up the pacemaking. Tor Hussoft is up there into second position with one of... Oh, there's a crash at the back there. A number of riders have gone down, and that's why you have to ride at the front in these cobblestone section. It looks as if Frank Schleck has gone down there, champion of Luxembourg. I noticed him. Another rider went down was Yanni Brakovic of Team Radio Shack. This is the chaos at the back. This is why you have to ride at the front end of the main field. But Frank Schleck on the left-hand side there does not look very good at all. There's a rider down there as well on the far right. It's a rider from Garmin Transitions, and it looks to me as if that may well have been Robbie Hunter, the South African. But that is not a good-looking Frank Schleck. And number 22 is stopped there at the side of the road. That is Jani Brakovic. Number 12 is in there as well. That's Matti Breschel. Well, this is a bit of chaos here, and this is why everybody was trying to ride at the front end of the main field.
As we look down, that is Schleck there as the rider comes into the back of him. I think David Miller also involved off to the right.
Well, Phil, I tell you what, that crash was right at the front end of the main field. He was riding superbly there, and he was well placed. Then all of a sudden, he lost it over on the right-hand side of the road, and now the cobbles can be just as slippery in dry conditions as they are in wet conditions. Fabian Cancellara is putting the hammer down this afternoon.
But what's he going to do now? Last time he heard a teammate was in trouble, he stopped the race, and that's what happened yesterday. Now he's got Schleck lying on the road, and he's pushing it on.
One Schleck, he's still got Andy Schleck up there with him. He did say today, we are going to race this race. Today was a sad day. Today is a day to race. Today is a race for men to go out there and give them some pain.
Well, there is Lance Armstrong now trying to recover just a little bit here as they're slightly detached from the cobbles by Armstrong. Now, Schleck, Cancellara is in a quandary here. The radio will tell him he's not going to wait this time out, though, as he's now signalling to the riders to start working here because Andy Schleck is with him. Time to gain ground. The champion of Norway is here. Cadel Evans is here. These are favourite riders who will not wait now. They must push on.
Geraint Thomas is in that group as well, the Great Britain, the national champion of Great Britain. Armstrong, I think, is in the second group. The other rider with him there is Johan van Summeren, but this is everybody trying to scramble back into this bike race. We'd forgotten about
this is Ryder Hezjedal,
because this is Ryder Hezjedal.
Hezjedal is out on his own as the next sector of cobblestones now trying to churn a big gear. Now Armstrong is trying to bridge to that front group which contains Schleck and Cadel Evans as the leading contenders. A chance to gain time over Contador. Schleck will not turn this down right now.
Well, they're just trying to look back over the top of the camera bike here, but somebody has got in the way. But that was a well-planned move there by Team Saxo Bank and Frank and Andy Schleck. Sadly, though, for Frank Schleck, he's down on the ground. We have no information about him, but for the moment, Fabian Cancellara, well, he's got all three of those motors turning very fast again, Phil. I hope he's got plenty of AAA batteries to keep the wattage up.
Well, indeed, as they continue, Cancellara, Andy Schleck, Cadel Evans, Thor Hushoff, they're driving at the front. Four of the strongest bike riders in the world suddenly projected to the head of the peloton. But it's the Canadian on Garmin Transitions, Ryder Hezjedal, who's trying to strike out for the lone win. He's 24 kilometres or 15 miles from the finish now. This is the elite leading group here. Now, is that Geraint Thomas who's got onto the back?
Yeah, that's Geraint Thomas, the champion of Great Britain, who's got onto the back of that group. Now, you can see the gap that they have opened, and it's quite an amazing gap. There's the second group on the road there. Looking down at that group, we're trying to identify who is in that group.
10 riders chasing here. They need to try and reach them. If they can get across here, we'll have a leading group of some 14, 15 riders.
That's Armstrong in that group. A little bit further back, you've got Mick Rogers in about 8th position, the tall rider from HTC Columbia. Armstrong, bear in mind, slightly injured, has got Johan van Summeren behind him, Jaroslav Popovic behind him as well, and he's giving everything to try and get back to Fabian Cancellara, but that's a tough call to try and pull back the man who this year won the Tour of Flanders and won Paris-Roubaix.
Well, this morning, Contador said, I'm not losing any sleep over today. I'm not worried about it at all. Well, he should get a bit worried now as the camera pans down. He's in this group somewhere. Armstrong is in the chase group and trying to bridge the gap to those 5 leaders. There's Contador now right in the centre of our picture. There's still time to repair the damage, but there's also time for Armstrong's bunch to reach the leaders. And Geraint Thomas has done an incredible ride for Sky. He's with the leaders.
He certainly is.
Well, the leaders of the peloton.
Where's Bradley Wiggins in that group as well? Contador comfortably right. Look at Contador arriving comfortably over the cobbles now, and he's done an excellent job today because this is certainly not his terrain. He's never been and raced over these cobblestones. Yes, it's good to come and look at them and ride over them at 38, 39 kilometres an hour, but when you start to ride over them at 45 or 50 kilometres an hour, Phil, that's a completely different ball game.
This is Ryder Hezjedal now, the Canadian who is pushing on here and riding the cobblestones. Well, another Canadian once rode pretty well on Paris-Roubaix, Steve Bauer. He lost it by the narrowest margin in history when he was beaten by a centimetre in Roubaix. It would be a fitting result if a Canadian won today, that's for sure. The field trying to regroup. This is the main body of the field. I honestly don't know how much of that original breakaway of 7 is left out front right now.
Well, once we get off this next section of cobbles for Ryder Hejjedal, we've got, I suppose you could say, some respite, because he's got about 5 kilometres of smooth road before he comes to the next section of cobbles, which is another long section at 3.7 kilometres long, and that is going to be a real leg bender.
That is a long, long way, and it comes just 10 kilometres from the finish when they come off those cobblestones. And that will take us down towards the end now. And the world champion is there. Sylvain Chavanel is the rider who's also up in the front. But Geraint Thomas, proudly wearing the white jersey of the British champion, left of our picture here, has done the ride of his life to reach these boys. He sits on the accomplished wheel of Thor Hushovd, the champion of Norway, and they both in turn sit on the wheel of the world champion, Cadel Evans, the first Australian to wear the rainbow jersey. And the work being done is Cancellara and Andy Schleck. This is an incredible race now, and Cummings is back here with them.
Halfords, at the heart of the action.
Up a bit, down a bit, slowly, just there.
Oh, and buy new brake pads or shoes, and we'll replace them for free for as long as you own the car.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Michael.
It's Derek. It doesn't matter, but... Yeah.
Thunderbirds are go.
FAB. Free reactions at Specsavers.
We Brits consider our homes as our castles. But if you don't haggle, what defenses do you have against being overcharged for your home insurance? None! To compare more home insurance than anyone else, get thee to Money Supermarket. Save super amounts of money at Money Supermarket. It's super.
What is iPad? iPad is thin. iPad is beautiful. iPad goes anywhere and lasts all day. There's no right way or wrong way. It's amazingly powerful. It's magical. You already know how to use it. It's 200,000 apps and counting. A world of websites in your hands. It's video, photos, more books than you can read in a lifetime. It's already a revolution, and it's only just begun.
Wouldn't it be great to have a guide to show you all the best places? And what if you could find answers simply by taking a photo? Life's good when you discover more from every moment. The LG Optimus, with all your favourite apps in your hand.
Sprzedajemy coraz więcej pralek w Indiach. Dowiedz się dlaczego.
Indiach?
Opportunities often appear in the most unlikely places. Our network of relationship managers has the local expertise to help you make the most of them, whether in Liverpool, Lublin or Lucknow. HSBC Business, from the world's local bank.
Get numbers fast from 118 500.
Tandoori Nice Curry House, please. Yes, in High Street.
118 500, the numbers number from BT.
With SwiftCover.com, you can get a car insurance quote in just 60 seconds, so you get more time.
To rock!
It's 100% online. Your documents are stored online. There's no waiting in line, so you get more time.
To party!
Actually, I was thinking of playing a little golf.
Golf sucks, man!
With SwiftCover.com, you get a lot more me time.
Yeah, I love me! Oh, me!
Get a life. Get SwiftCover.
teammates are missing from Western Penitentiary. Police say they made a daring daylight prison break, somehow digging a tunnel from the inside to the outside.
First-hand accounts of some of the most daring and fearless prison breaks in recent history. Breakout, Friday at 8 on ITV4.
Halfords, at the heart of the action.
On to sector 6 of 7 now. The gaps are there, 37 seconds. The Schleck group behind this leader. 1 minute and 1 second comes Armstrong, who once won the Tour de France by that margin when he beat Jan Ullrich in 2003.
So that's the second group. That is the Armstrong group before they get into this next section of cobbles, and they're not too far away from making the junction. In fact, there is a group of Alberto Contador as well about to make the junction too. Strangely enough, this whole race may well come back together on the 6th section of cobbles of Wadigny-Hamage, and it's a section of 3.7 kilometers long. 41 seconds for the Schleck group, 58 seconds for the Armstrong group, but I think it might be coming back together.
Contador is trying to leapfrog the groups here. This is the group Armstrong. Contador is now part of it as he brings the rest of the troops across, and they still have not contacted. They're about 30 seconds behind the Andy Schleck group, but it's still within their sight. And this is a long section of cobblestones here.
This is the second group at the road, 10 miles left to race. Fabian Cancellara not thinking at all about his own personal performance here this afternoon, Phil. For him, the most important thing is to ride for Andy Schleck and try and put some time between Andy Schleck and Alberto Contador. And this is actually Lance Armstrong here, and I think he's actually suffering to stay in contact with the group. He's got with him Jaroslav Popovic, and he may well have been popped off the back of that group, although he started riding well on the cobblestones. Now he may be losing a bit of time. He too has a problem.
And the same problem, a front wheel here for Sylvain Chavanel. Desperate moments, but no need to absolutely panic yet. A bike change quickly from his team car as he gets back in the action. I hope it was from his team car, otherwise there will be problems.
Well, Andy Schleck, Fabian Cancellara around that corner with the world champion, Cadel Evans. Evans riding extremely well. He will have been helped by his teammates to get himself into the right position this afternoon. But for Sylvain Chavanel, he's got to get himself back into a group to try and conserve his lead in the overall classification. Started this morning with a fairly good buffer, a buffer of around about a 3-minute mark. But you know, on these cobbles, 3 minutes can get blown away very easily.
Well, he's got his bike changed there, but it doesn't look like a team bike to me. And, you know, if it's not, they may have to disqualify him.
It was a team bike. It was a team bike because before he was riding on a yellow jersey bike, which was the special bike that they had for him for today. Before that, he had a black and yellow, a black and white Eddie Merckx bike. So that will have been the bike he rode on yesterday.
Then the team car, and amazingly, must have been right behind him. We're seeing Lance Armstrong right behind his teammate Jaroslav Popovic here, is trying to pull him back into the action here. And the group is building, to say the least. There are 5 of them now as they try to chase. And they're completely spread across the countryside here. And this is the elite group in pursuit of the leader, Heyerdahl. And 3 champions, a world champion, 2 national champions, and 2 riders from Saxo Bank who have both been national champions themselves, and they're driving to get time over Contador.
Well, that's the goal this afternoon. That's what they said they wanted to do. This is the next group on the road. You can see there's George Hincapie. He had a front wheel puncture as well, so that's why he's stuck in this group a little bit further down in the main field. But the gaps are going to be quite interesting this afternoon. There is the Barredo going through there for Quick-Step. He's riding up at the front end of the main field, trying to identify a couple of riders there. I think that was Andreas Kloden going through for Radio Shack.
I'm still not absolutely convinced exactly where Lance Armstrong is here, but his teammate is doing all the work he can to pull him back up towards the front of the race. Well, and it's becoming into a long and lonely road here, because there is the group, and that is the group of Contador, who's gone up the road ahead of him.
Well, I think Armstrong had a mechanical incident. That group seems to be slowing down a fraction. They're going to have to get themselves organised if they want to pull back a flying Fabian Cancellara, who is flying again and putting the pressure on. He's looking for the victory here this afternoon, and now Thor Hushovd is in a bit of difficulty trying to get across the gap there. Andy Schleck, the man who we expect to ride well in the big mountains, Phil, there, is in fact getting onto the back end of this group, and he's making a big operation this afternoon. He's pulling himself back up in the rankings.
29 seconds this group is behind Heyerdahl. It's hardly moved an inch now. But what he's doing is, I think Andy Schleck said to Fabian, try for yourself here. But Thor Hushovd is wise to the move this time around, doing a lot of solid work to bring back Fabian Cancellara. Evans will just follow the wheels at the moment, but this is a huge result for Cadel Evans and for Andy Schleck. It's time that counts in the Tour de France, and Schleck is in trouble. He is dangling at the back here.
We didn't make one quick calculation there, Phil, because the best placed rider overall in this group just happens to be Geraint Thomas. He started the day in a very good 6th place in the overall standings. Now, all of the riders in front of him in the standings are currently behind him on the road. We could actually have a British overall leader at the end of the day if the race was to stop like this.
Well, we've got to have a gap of over 3 minutes over the yellow jersey, so it might be... what's happened here? This is another crash. Is it Jürgen Rollins has gone down here at the... He's just overshot that bend. Let's have a look how he did it. Oh, ouch.
No, he just actually dropped it in the corner. He was trying to change his line. He was on the inside of the wheel of the rider in front, and his wheels just slipped from underneath him. He was a rider in the breakaway just the other day. Now, this is the next group on the road, trying to pull themselves all back together.
Absolute chaos out here. Desperate, desperate times in the Tour de France. The riders will all be complaining if they're not in the prize money today. The course was too hard. Of course, the winners never complain. As we see Alberto Contador down there, he's been extremely good on the cobblestones there. He really has. He got off to a bad start on them, but he's put matters to right very, very quickly.
Well, he's got with him Denny Menchoff, the leader of Team Rabobank, moving up there, and he's also got alongside him one of his own teammates to keep the pace nice and high. Contador, I think, will be breathing a sigh of relief at the end of the day this afternoon. Fortunately for him, for the moment, he hasn't had any mechanical problems, any mechanical incidents at all. And it looks as if he's got Alexander Vinokourov at the front of this group, who's doing the job of the Team Domestique here this afternoon.
Lance has got himself still the pacemaker, but there's others in this group. These are moments. Lance, don't forget, he crashed yesterday. He might be a bit pained from that, but he will lose his 5th place overall if he doesn't close the gap towards that front group.
Halfords, at the heart of the action.
Wherever you want to get to, Lloyds TSB is here to help you on your journey. Over the last year, we've helped more than 45,000 customers get a new mortgage. And we helped over 80,000 new businesses get off the ground, as well as helping over 7 million people save for what really matters to them. To find out how we can help you, come in and talk to your bank manager. Lloyds TSB, for the journey.
Deep freeze. Spray on, play on. Also available as a gel and a patch.
This season, football has got a brand new player. BT is bringing you Sky Sports 1 and Sky Sports 2.
After 11 months, a message washed ashore. It read,
Your insurance is due for renewal.
Go compare, go compare. Golly gosh, preserve your dosh at Go Compare. What I always said is to save your readies. Why, not easy, Go Compare, Go Compare. They get you quotes to save you notes at Go Compare. To save a small pile, take just a short while, and you'll thank your stars that you went to Go Compare. You'll be done by Friday. Go Compare.
Thunderbirds are go. me. Free reactions at Specsavers.
You gotta be kidding me.
What is it?
Sempre in giro, non mi manca niente, sono un tipo cosciente che con la legge tira un pensiero coerente, non fa
Oh, to the beat.
Sono sempre in giro.
Halfords, at the heart of the action.
And this man here is about to enter the last segment of cobblestones. It is an absolute brute, as 10 kilometres to go now. So the cobbles are waiting just around the corner for Ryder Hejjedal. And as I say so often, when you get a man who tries so hard, it's now we rather hope he wins. Here we go, 2.3 kilometres.
Strange the way history can repeat itself. Yesterday, the breakaway went at 17 kilometres in the race, and it survived all the way to the finish for Sylvain Chavanel. This man got into the break today at 13 kilometres into the race, and he goes under that 10 kilometre to go banner with an advantage of around about 20 seconds over Cancellara, Andy Schleck and Thor Hushovd.
Just in the distance is in fact Hejjedal, but it looks to me as though Andy Schleck has found his second win there. This chase group also is getting very, very close to that very elite group containing the world champion Cadel Evans and Nicholas Roach, number 81, tagged onto the back here, sitting on the wheel of no less than Alberto Contador.
Well, this is a great ride by Alberto Contador, and if he can ride like this over the cobbles, if he can ride a great prologue as he did around the streets of Rotterdam, he's going to start to lay down the foundations, Phil, for a win number 3 in the Tour de France to go back-to-back with his victory of last year.
9 kilometres to go for the rider at the front as we speak, and these boys, well, it's really down to the work of 2 men, Andy Schleck and Cancellara. They are towing this group along, and they are trying to reach Ryder Hejjedal here. And this is just 9 kilometres from the finish of the race. Here comes the Armstrong group. It's a big gap this, they're under the 10 kilometres to go board, but they're losing ground, Paul.
Yeah, but what a job being done there by that man wearing number 28. Jaroslav Popovic is burying himself for Armstrong this afternoon. That's what the cobblestones are all about, though. It's a question of survival. It's every man for himself. You have to ride as well as you can, and Armstrong will not give up. He's a great competitor, a great challenger. Popovic says, hold on, mate, wait for me. I can still help you a little bit on the run in towards the finish.
The power of Armstrong as he starts to stamp on those pedals. He's desperate now. He's got across. He always has loved riding the cobblestones. He goes so well on them. And now it's all down to him. Him against the boys up front. Now what's happening?
Oh, Chavanel's got another problem.
And another change of bikes here for the Maillot Jaune. Well, the curse of being the leader of the Tour. He wears the red number as yesterday's most aggressive rider. He's in the yellow jersey. He's back on his French roads, and he's been dealt cards like this.
Whoa.
But he's got to keep fighting, Paul. He hasn't lost that jersey yet. Look at this again, as we now see Hejjedal in the sights. Well, what a sad sight, I have to say. 6.5 kilometres to go, and Hejjedal is about to be joined. And when he sees the quality of the rider who is pinging him back, he won't be surprised.
Well,
and look at this, in amongst the cars here is the figure of Armstrong. He looks like the coal miner from the forest of Arenberg. He's totally black in the face.
He's fighting to keep himself in this Tour de France, his last Tour de France now, as we look at the front end of the main field. Hushovd's sitting there. He's waiting for the moment to pounce. He is the fastest man in this group, although I don't think that Geraint Thomas has ever come up against him in the sprint now. Wouldn't that be a surprise?
Well, Geraint isn't a pure sprinter, and so I don't think he'll be winning the stage in this quality of a sprint finish. But watch out, because you're looking now at Cadel Evans here. The Maillot Jaune group is, how far was it, Paul? I missed it.
3 minutes and 25 seconds is the distance between the Sylvain Chavanel and the rest of the group. And at the start of the day, Geraint Thomas was looking for 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So currently, Thomas is looking at taking the overall lead in the race, Phil, by 5 seconds.
Well, that would be an incredible result for Geraint Thomas of Wales. He'd be the first Welshman ever to lead the Tour de France. Is it going to happen, as there's now been a move from the lead group here, and they're going to have to try and see what they can do about that?
Well, Armstrong has done a ride to get himself back into a group, and that was an extremely big effort by Armstrong. But now at the front end of the main field, we could be looking at a change in this race.
The race has a habit of coming together towards the last, but not today. Everybody's at the limit of their ability now. 2.5 kilometers to go to the finish, which is about 1.6 miles. That is all. Cadel Evans on the front of this group here. A very elite group it is too.
You know, Cancellara here could be looking at turning the tables once again, because he was the man who had the yellow jersey yesterday. He was just trying to figure out how much time he needs. And at the end of the day, Fabian Cancellara could be riding himself back into yellow, having lost it yesterday because of that little bit of a truce out on the open road. He's now got 3:37. So it looks to me as if Fabian Cancellara is riding himself back into yellow at the end of the day.
2 kilometers to go, and the computer will tell all when we get to the finish, but it is likely, unless there's a great return to the action by the Maillot Jaune, there will be a new leader in the Tour de France today. And I have to say, it's down to the bad luck of the changes of bikes for poor old Sylvain Chavanel. But this has been not a battle for the yellow today. This has been a battle for the future in Paris. These leaders have got away from other big timers. Bradley Wiggins losing time today, and so too Carlos Sastre, Lance Armstrong. Contador is losing time as well. Andy Schleck is playing a card along with Cadel Evans.
Well, Cadel Evans could be pulling himself back a good minute over Alberto Contador. That little bad performance he had in the opening day prologue time trial could be readjusted on the cobblestones of the north of France this afternoon. But I'd still have to say, Phil, this is a phenomenal performance by Alberto Contador, because nobody expected him to ride the cobblestones like he has done this afternoon. He's proving once again that he is a great champion.
And there he is, wearing number 1. He's been a 2-time winner of the Tour de France in the past 3 years. And Contador knows things are not a disaster for him today. He's not with Evans, he's not with Andy Schleck, but he is within touch, and that's all that matters until we get to the hills. 1,000 meters to the end. These boys are going to dispute the sprint finish. Cancellara, I think, has got to be spent. He's used all his energy to open the gap for his teammate Andy Schleck.
But you can see that Cadel Evans realizes how important a move like this is, because Cadel keeps coming to the front, keeps riding, keep pushing as well, because he too knows that he is climbing up the overall classification on a day when he probably didn't even think that would be advantageous to him. But this has been a great day by Team Saxo Bank. Cancellara now keeping the pace nice and high, but watch out for Thor Hushovd. He's had an armchair ride here this afternoon with these great champions from Saxo Bank, and of course Evans.
Well, this has been a team attack. Saxo Bank came to this race today with the plan. We saw them all on the front when Stuart O'Grady and Jens Voigt were driving for them. They got the man they wanted in the lead, but what has happened to his brother Frank Schleck? He'll be very concerned about that as a rider, Hejjedal, goes on the left of our picture. And the quick chase, or was it a false start? A false start, I think. Andy Schleck is going to open it up. They've even put cobbles down the road here as we race towards the finish now. It is Andy Schleck on the right, Thor Hushovd on the left of our picture. His big Thor, the God of Thunder, going to fire again now. As he comes clear, he takes the stage. And in second place is Geraint Thomas. And in third place, the world champion Cadel Evans. What a ride by Geraint Thomas of Sky.
Alexander Vinokourov is digging very deep here to try and reduce the losses, but Contador got popped in the last couple of kilometers. There is Bradley Wiggins.
Bradley Wiggins will take that with open arms. Denny Menchov in here as well as Alexander Vinokourov comes up. A little break for the line by Johan van Summen. A good ride by him. The clock continues to count. Take a look down the road here. So in the end, it wasn't such a great finish for Alberto, and the damage done by his own teammate. And this could be a tour where every second will count, Paul.
Well, I'm surprised at Alexander Vinokourov doing that, Phil. He may well have just been powering up to the finish and didn't realize that Contador had been dropped. Contador, though, now is safely home.
He's very annoyed. There's a big group here. Armstrong joined that group in the background. As far as I know, that's where he will be. as these riders continue to finish just ahead. A minute 46 has gone now.
Well, this is the group. There's Armstrong over on the left-hand side, and you can see that Mark Cavendish is in the group with Alessandro Patacchi. There's not too many points left in this group this afternoon. The clock is not really important to this group, although Armstrong will be losing time to Alberto Contador and to Cadel Evans and to Andy Schleck. But what's more important now, Phil, as they cross the line at 2:07, is the time now back to Sylvain Chavanel.
And the poor old Sylvain Chavanel had a right to dream of leading this tour for a few days, but he didn't write into the equation the bike changes on the Hell of the North. His teammate in the Mountains jersey on the right, Jerome Pinot, is staying in the group with him. A very, very sad way to end. He takes the lead in Belgium to come into France. He loses the lead in France.
Well, before the changes in the overall, let's confirm the stage results. Tour Hussoft ahead of Geraint Thomas and Cadel Evans. Rider Hejjedal held on for fourth after his long day out front. Then it was the Saxo Bank pairing of Andy Schleck and Fabian Cancellara in fifth and sixth. 53 seconds behind them, Johan van Sommeren led home the first chasing group, which included Bradley Wiggins. Alexander Vinokourov was in that group, but his leader Alberto Contador wasn't. If he had a mechanical, we didn't see it, but he was another 20 seconds down. Lance Armstrong was 55 seconds behind him, with Ivan Basso, Robert Gesink and Carlos Sastre another 12 seconds back. Now, we didn't really see much of Bradley Wiggins in all the chaos, but he was up with the Alberto Contador group all day, as he explained to Matt Rendell.
Brad, a very, very complicated stage, always the one we were looking at for the dangers, but you've got through it, and you've got through it pretty damn well as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've known it was going to be like that now for 6 or 7 months, so everyone's reconned it, we've been there, special bikes, wheels, and here we are, you know, finishing 8th place on the stage. G finished 2nd, so it was a great day for Team Sky.
It was certainly a great day for Geraint Thomas, who's having a storming tour so far. 2nd on the stage, 2nd overall, 2nd in the green jersey competition, and leading as best young rider. He spoke to Jill.
Well, Geraint, a fantastic ride today. You received the British national jersey just over a week ago. How does it feel to be on the podium here at the Tour de France, pulling on another jersey?
Oh, it's amazing, you know, to go across those cobbles in the front group was really special with that jersey on, and you know, all the crowd there. It was just a really special day, and obviously it was a bit unsure whether to stay in the group or to go back and out Brad, because obviously Andy Schleck was there and Brad was gaining time on the others, but you know, Sean said to just stay in there and go for the sprint, and I was going to try and go for a long one, but it was a real headwind last 500 metres, so I would have just been, you know, been used as a springboard, so I decided to go for the sprint, and you know, Tori's pretty fast, so you know.
And how did you enjoy your moment on the podium here?
Oh, it's amazing just to go up there in the British jersey and you know, receive another. It was oh, it's great, you know, it's the biggest bike race in the world.
So let's try to boil this stage down into its key elements. Frank Schleck is gone, out with a broken collarbone, as his teammates drove brother Andy towards a time gain over his main rivals. Alberto Contador lost a little time to the younger Schleck, but gained it over Lance Armstrong, the man whose stated aim was to attack and pressurise his big rival before the mountains. We didn't see it, perhaps for dust, but Armstrong was blaming his losses on the Frank Schleck crash and a badly timed puncture, but he wasn't making excuses.
No complaints. I mean, that's bad luck was with me today, and you know, look at the results. Everybody thought, oh, the climbers are going to lose minutes today, and they were the ones in the front, and the guy who was supposed to take advantage of it was the one in the back, and that's the nature of racing. So I have to accept that and go on and do my best in the next 2.5 weeks.
So here's how the overall standings look tonight. Fabian Cancellara retakes the lead as a byproduct of shepherding Andy Schleck through the cobbles. Geraint Thomas is up to 2nd place, 23 seconds behind Cancellara, and ahead of Cadel Evans, who had a great day and is now 3rd. Rider Hejjedal is 4th, Sylvain Chavanel down to 5th, and Andy Schleck up onto the first page of the standings in 6th. Alberto Contador is 9th, 31 seconds behind Schleck and just over a minute behind Evans. Bradley Wiggins 14th now, another 9 seconds down. And Lance Armstrong is 18th, 50 seconds behind the defending champion, getting on for 2 minutes down on Evans. So Fabian Cancellara retakes the yellow jersey he lost yesterday as a byproduct, really, of driving the race on behalf of Andy Schleck. And regardless of the crash involving Frank Schleck, so obviously Saxo Bank are happy to ignore the carnage behind them when it suits the team's strategy.
No, I think today it was not necessary to think about that. I mean, today is actually a day where you where you know what's going to happen actually, and I think that's the difference from today and yesterday. I mean, I hear only that it was a big crash. I mean, I have not seen it, but I heard that. But on the end, that's part of the game of this day, and I think nobody now can say he should wait. I mean, today was not time to wait.
Tuhusoft was always the favourite to win from that lead group today, and he had the extra motive of revenge, having been prevented from sprinting yesterday when Fabian was deciding what was good for the peloton. He now leads the green jersey competition by 14 points from Geraint Thomas and 63 points from Mark Cavendish, who has yet to register a point.
Torn into the green jersey, this was always going to be a stage for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a day I really had in mind for a long time, so I like the cobbles. And yeah, I was in front in Roubaix, and that's what I want to be in front today. So now for me it was a perfect day, and I'm really, really happy.
And how much did you enjoy having the opportunity to sprint today after what happened yesterday?
Yeah, I'm really happy because I was not agree what happened yesterday, but like I said this morning, I just want to forget all this and just think about his history and close my eyes and just go full gas for today, and that's what I did, and I think today was really payback.
You have now put some distance between yourself and your rivals, the likes of Mark Cavendish. This is looking good for you in the green jersey.
Yeah, I don't know the classement, the points already for the other riders, but now I have green jersey, I'm happy with it. I won my stage, so I'm really happy. Now I just want to stay focused to try to keep this as long as possible and maybe win another stage.
Well, what an astonishing 4 days it's been. It should calm down tomorrow on stage 4. We'll take a look at that in just a moment, right after the competition. Courtesy of Halfords, we're giving you the chance to win a set of his and hers Boardman Road Team carbon bikes. In addition, courtesy of Rafa, 5 runners-up will each receive a copy of The Great Road Climbs of the Pyrenees. To be in with a chance of winning, just answer this question. And since it's the centenary of the Pyrenees this year, it's about someone who used to shine there. Which year did Britain's Robert Miller win the King of the Mountains title? Was it A, 1984, B, 1994, or C, 2004? To enter, call 09012 939393. Calls cost £1 from BT landlines, calls from other networks may be higher, and from mobiles will be considerably more. Or text your answer, A, B or C, to 88330. Text cost £1 plus 1 standard network rate message. Red button viewers can enter by pressing their red button now. You can also enter free at itv.com. Entrants must be 18 or over, and lines close on Sunday the 11th of July at 2 p.m. Entries made after closing time will not be counted, but may still be charged. Now tomorrow the riders should finally get some relief on the shortest road stage of the Tour this side of the last 8 at Paris. 153.5 kilometres from Cambrai to Reims, the chief town of the Champagne region. Perhaps the Tour will copy the Giro d'Italia and have a bit of cork popping on the podium. And this is Mark Cavendish's second opportunity of the race to get onto the podium. It should end in a bunch sprint. So, great long lists of winners and losers today. Chris, which would you pick out in particular in both categories?
Well, single stage, massive effect on GC. We've seen Basso, Sastre, they've pretty much gone now from that competition. We saw the Radio Shack team devastated. Armstrong losing 50 seconds to Contador. He's certainly one of the winners today. He was going to lose some time. Other winners, actually, Geraint Thomas now just 16 seconds behind Evans. He's leading the GC contenders. He's done pretty good. Evans, of course, really happy. He's probably the clear favourite there. Wiggins, he didn't do too bad either. I'd put him in the top 4 GC contenders, so Sky's done quite well out of this cobblestone stage.
All right, well, tomorrow the yellow jersey race will pretty much go into hibernation, and it'll be all about the green jersey as we take a flat, fast run in to Reims. Join us at 2:30 for what should be a bunch sprint.
Halfords, at the heart of the action.
For news, race highlights and exclusive video, go to itv.com/tour, sponsored by Halfords. With every stage live plus daily highlights, make ITV4 and ITV.com your destination for the Tour de France. Continuing tomorrow at 2:30.
The officers in Grampian are tackling young and under-the-influence drivers in cops with cameras in an hour here. Now a seaside rescue proves tricky for the team who make our shores a safer place, the Coastline Cops.